No, not really. Okay. Thank you, Tina. Thank you. I'm also the chairman of the ballot question to end Common Core. So that will be coming up in November of 2016, and you're all going to vote to get rid of Common Core in the state of Massachusetts, right? Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, Mike did a great job in his introduction, and I just want to elaborate a little bit of what he said. There's a big difference between being an activist and being a politician. And Bonnie is an activist, okay? And let's clap, clap, good. And the reason I want to point this out is because Mike was mentioning it. When we needed someone to knock on doors to help us in our campaign, Bonnie was there. When we asked her to make phone calls for us, Bonnie was there. When we asked Bonnie, Bonnie, you have to help me with a fundraiser, Bonnie was there. Bonnie, you have to edit this article I'm writing. Wait a minute. In the next hour, and this was at 11 o'clock, and Bonnie goes to bed early. I stay up all night. Bonnie said, all right, I'll do it in bed. She goes, I'll do it. Bonnie was there. So when there's a big difference between someone that actually works, that doesn't just talk the talk, but actually walks it, and that's Bonnie. And that's also Mike Gaffney, and that's why Mike Gaffney came in second, and that's why I came in second, because we actually get out there and we work, and we knock on doors, and we talk to people, and we do it every single day, all the time. So when we're looking for people to run for certain parties or do the work, we need people that are actually going to work. It's a big, big difference. So Bonnie first started, we met right after the Scott Brown first campaign in January of 2010. And at that point, we just were both frustrated what was happening in the state of Massachusetts, and we wanted to do something. And from that point on, we've been involved in, I can't tell you how many projects together. If it isn't one thing, it's another thing. If it isn't supporting a candidate, it's working on a cause. We have been involved together for a long time, and that's because we're both doers. And I see many doers in the room here, and a lot of people that we've worked with in our campaigns, in our quest to make Worcester / Massachusetts / the country a better place. So the other thing is we do have a couple more state committee people here. I think I saw Kim Shepard. Kim Shepard, where are you? Okay, right down there. Oh, Republican Town Chair. Okay, yeah, Republican Town Chair. Oh, not state committee. And we have Chris Pinto, who is running. Chris, you're a candidate for state committee, and he's in the Worcester district. So those of you that are in the yes. And who else is running? Jim Knowlton is running also in Worcester. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't, yeah. And we have, I did see Representative Jim Lyons here. He flashed in with one more. Jim, all right, Jim. Hey, you thought I was going to, I didn't see you come in the door there, huh? Yeah. And you know what? That's another person you talk about, an activist versus a politician. Jim has taken some really hard votes. And you have to watch his votes because he does an unbelievable job. He just sticks to what he believes in as opposed to giving into some of the party politics. Right, Jim? Okay. Okay. So my speech is very simple. It's that Bonnie will do the work it takes to get candidates elected, and Bonnie will do the work to support the party. And Bonnie is, in fact, one of the few people in the state that does what she's asked to do. So on that note, I will introduce Bonnie Johnson.
Hi everyone. Thank you for coming. I sent out a lot of invitations to this event, people I knew, people I didn't know, thousands, and I'm really happy to say that we have new faces in the room, and that was one of my purposes in sending this out, was to bring people, to help people know what goes on, what is a Republican State Committee woman. It's, nobody really knows exactly what it is. So I thought, first of all, I'll tell you I'm from Boylston, and sleepy little town of about 4,000 people, and guess what city we go to do everything? Worcester. We finally have a bank in our town. We didn't have a bank until 2 years ago. So I'm in Worcester for everything. So I consider it my city as much as my Boylston is my town. I have 3 children. My oldest is 27, is getting married March 5th, 4 days after the election. What day do I fly? March 2nd at 8 in the morning. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I will do this, and hopefully it's going to be a victory run. I think it's an all-nighter. Pull an all-nighter. I have a 25-year-old son in California, and I have a 21-year-old daughter who is at Rhode Island College, and she'd be here except that today was the first day of her clinical. She was so disappointed. One thing about Melissa, my youngest, she has Lyme disease. So if there's anyone here dealing with Lyme disease, I'm an activist. Michelle Miller, raise your hand, please, is a huge activist on Lyme disease. See one of us, because we are doing things to make a difference. One of the things that I've done this year is I've got, I think, about 80 state senators and state representatives to sign on to a bill to do some work about Lyme disease. So that's my kids. I live in Boylston. I graduated from Clark University. Ooh. And I'm not liberal. How did that happen? Maybe because I went night, but I remember my professor was very liberal. His name was Gladstone Hutchinson, and I was an economics major, and he kept going the liberal way, and I kept challenging him without even really knowing what I was doing. It just didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense. I didn't understand it, and I still don't. So I'm a graduate of Clark. I was active in the Republican Party. I don't know what age, 13, 14, 15, when I helped. Anyone know which presidential candidate I helped? Reagan. No. Someone did say it. Nixon. Way back. And you know what? So here we are in Northbridge, sleepy little Northbridge, and they have a campaign office down there, and they're just trying to give us something to do. We're a bunch of kids, we want to help. They give us bumper stickers, and where do you think we did with the bumper stickers? We put them on everybody's bumper, up and down the main street. Can you imagine? That would be a horrible thing that could happen to some of us here, thankfully. And then in my early 20s, as you saw on my little thing, I don't know how many of you saw this, but I was really blessed because I got to meet Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan. I mean, they are my heroes. So I've been an activist then I had my children, I homeschooled my kids, so, I stayed in town, Zoning Board of Appeals, for a few years, and then Scott Brown came along. And Scott Brown, how many people here were at Mechanics Hall? One way, shape, or form? I mean, look around. That was an event. It was a historic event. It turned the tide of activism in this state. It let us all know we could do something. And so since then, you've heard a lot, supporting Donna Colorio, supporting Mike Gaffney, supporting Charlie Baker, Karen Polito, not once, but 2 terms, 2010, 2014, to see them elected, and all the other candidates. So I've been very, very involved, and I feel very blessed. I love this. I love getting people active. I love the fact that you're all here. I'm going to ask how many people are from Worcester? Okay, Worcester people. Now, how many people here are poll workers?
I just signed up.
You just signed up. If you have not signed up to be a poll worker, that's one thing we're really looking for in Worcester. If you live in Worcester, Eddie O'Brien has a list. That's something we really, really need in Worcester. We'll train you, we'll help you. That is, it's a critical function. Unfortunately, they want you to live in Worcester. They'll take two that don't, so we'll see. But that's a big thing about what I'm liking to do. I like to get people involved. I like to have events where we hear and do something. So today, one of the thoughts I had was, let's have some presidential candidates come in and speak to us, or not the candidates, their representatives. A lot of people thought that one of these candidates, or all of them, were coming to this event. And I even had a man say to me today, how many people does the Compass Tavern hold? And then I realized he's thinking Donald Trump's coming here. No. But I would like to, we have a representative for Carly, we have a representative for Donald Trump, and we have a representative for Ted Cruz here. Joe McKenna's not here, right? He was going to speak for Marco Rubio, but I don't see him. So the first person who is here, I think it'll go by the order of the first presidential candidate representative that showed up. I'm going to have Dean Cavaretta come and speak. I don't know, where is Dean here? Oh, okay. So I want to introduce Dean Cavaretta, who is the state chair for Donald Trump. And I want you to... So you guys get 5 minutes, okay? We're giving them 5 minutes at the most.
Uh-oh. How about a good 3? Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here supporting what Donna said, one of our best activists in the state. If you think about it, some of the best activists in Massachusetts are here, and I've had a very good fortune of working with many of them over the years. I first worked with Donna and Bonnie on Karen Polito's 2010 campaign for state treasurer. I was Karen's deputy campaign manager that year, and we learned an awful lot about Worcester and the great activists out here, and I want to thank everyone for their support over the years. But here we are, another election cycle, another important year. Regardless of who you support, we all know that this is, by far, the most important election of our lifetime. A lot of great people in this room that have worked on a lot of good campaigns for a lot of good people. We are all committed for electing a Republican President of the United States in 2016. Bonnie mentioned I'm working for Donald Trump, and regardless whether you're for him or against him, Mr. Trump has shaken up the process. He has come out forcefully against Common Core. Forcefully. As a high school history teacher, I've worked with Bonnie and Donna on this issue this past year, and Chanel and Rep. Lyons and others, in putting to bed one of the worst ideas, taking Massachusetts from first and putting them last in public education. It's not worth it. Donald Trump is against it. Mr. Trump is for supporting our vets 100%. He's for rebuilding our military. He's for restoring America's place in the world. And he's for making us win in international affairs. We are at a time when all of those issues are important, when we must move forward and fight terrorism across the world, and we are committed to doing that. So we have materials in the back. We are trying to reach our big state in a short amount of time. We are helping in New Hampshire, helping in Massachusetts on March 1st. And the big deadline for Massachusetts is you must register as a Republican or change your party affiliation by February 10th to participate in our open primary. Every vote's important. Massachusetts is a proportional state, so the bigger Trump wins, the more delegates we send to Cleveland, Ohio. So with that, I want to thank you very much, and thank you all for coming out tonight supporting Bonnie.
Next we have the lovely Amanda Copeland. So Amanda was born, were you in born in Boylston?
Worcester.
Okay. Her dad activated me into the Republican Town Committee, and I actually went to the convention between Weld Pierce, if you remember way back in those days, So that was I've only been to 2 conventions, and that was the first one, and that was a long time ago. But her dad is like, you know, Bonnie, you can do this Republican town committee thing. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes, you know, a quarter. Huh. Yes. So here we are today, and here's Amanda Rall.
Thank you so much. The question is how many people has my dad activated in this room? Brad, raise your hand. Jim? Yes. Excellent. My name is Amanda Copeland. I'm currently working for Representative Kuros as his legislative aide. I am also on the weekends helping Carly Fiorina as well in New Hampshire. We've opened up a new Nashville office, Manchester office, Littleton, New Hampshire office, and also Exeter. So if you're interested in getting involved at all with the Carly campaign, please fill out one of the forms on our table, and I can definitely show you the closest location that's available to you. Some of the things I wanted to touch upon that Dean mentioned some great things about changing over your registration and registering to vote. A few things I wanted to touch base about Carly, and one of the most important things I think is that she has such a strong background in international affairs that I think a lot of people aren't aware of this. She's the one candidate on the stage who's actually had the highest clearance in the CIA and the FBI, giving people information as a citizen. So I think that's something huge to look at when you're voting for president on March 1st. Also, one of the other things that she wants to bring is radically simplify our tax code from 75,000 pages down to 3. A lot of people ask why 75,000 down to 3. The reason that is because you can't read 75,000 pages. A small business owner doesn't have the time when you have 10 employees to read through 75,000 pages of the tax code. What that 75,000 page tax code does is it helps the wealthy, and it helps the people who are on the top of things. A CEO who is on top of a company that has tens of thousands of employees can hire a well-known accountant, and they can go through those 75,000 pages, but small businesses, medium-sized businesses cannot. Another thing that Carly stands for as well is repealing Obamacare. A lot of people say, why do you call it Obamacare? It's called the Affordable Care Act, and I agree too, so I'll call it the Affordable Care Act as I continue. But one of the things that she says is in an Obamacare too, Obamacare, if you own a small business and you go from 11 employees to 15 employees, you now have to offer full health benefits to all of those employees at your business. Being mandated by the federal government to give full benefits to all of your employees, I think is great, it's excellent. But being mandated by the federal government, not so much. So we really need to make this a lot easier for our small businesses and medium-sized businesses to grow without being scared of getting all these penalties and extra fines from the federal government. Another thing that she also stands up for is securing our border. Right now, does anyone know in the crowd that you can come from Mexico or Canada with a daily voucher to enter the United States? Do you know how those get checked each day? They don't. So what Carly's looking to do is allow people to come into the country for 1 or 2 days at a time to experience what America has to offer, but at the same time being able to have the tracking ability to see where those people are going, where they've been, and when they're going to return back to their country. And if they want to become a citizen of the United States, allowing them to become a citizen of the United States much easier and successfully, so America can still be the excellent melting pot that it is today. If you have any other questions about Carly Fiorina, I will be here for a few more minutes. Please stop by and let me know. Once again, my name is Amanda Copeland, and I'd love to talk to any of you about Carly Fiorina. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, Amanda. And last but not least, we have a representative, Jim Lyons, for Ted Cruz. And so we do have the ballot box here, just so you know, if we want to move that a little bit. And
Where are the ballots?
so if you need to sign in over here and you'll get a ballot.
Oh, I need a ballot.
Yeah, and I need a ballot, yeah. So, without further ado, Ms. Representative Lyons.
Bonnie, thank you very much. It's great being here with you and we're slowly becoming the most conservative part of Massachusetts, where the revolution is really starting, where we're changing the state of Massachusetts from blue to red, because that's what we need to do in Massachusetts. We have to change it from blue to red. I was thinking before I spoke tonight, first of all, I serve in the state committee on the state committee with Bonnie, and as you all know, what a great activist Bonnie is, and we need to continue to elect people who go in there who aren't really afraid of the establishment or the status quo. We need people who want to make a difference, people who want to change this state to bring it back to where this state once was. I was thinking about 1980 as Ted Cruz was talking a lot about the similarities between 1980 and where we are today. Well, in 1980 in Massachusetts, we had a pro-life Democratic governor. Take a look at how far we've come in those 40 years. This state has completely changed, but the people in this state are still committed to the values of the people who grew up in this state, and I grew up in this state. And what we need to do is to stay and have people like Bonnie get involved, people like you get involved, and recognize that we can change Massachusetts, because that's our first job. We have to change Massachusetts from these folks that I serve with on Beacon Hill, who fundamentally don't represent the people of our state. They represent special interests, they represent the things that they believe in, and quite frankly, when I walked in the door 5 years ago, I decided to run for state representative. I decided that one of the things I needed to do was to take on the establishment on Beacon Hill, and that's what I've done. I've spent 5 years taking on the establishment. Sometimes, you know, I get the Republican leadership a little upset about some of the things I do, and I think that's real important, because what's happened in our country and also in Massachusetts is people get comfortable being elected to the positions, whether it be a legislator, a congressman, or senator. They all get comfortable. They get friendly. You know, everybody's their buddy. Everyone wants to get along. I don't want to aggravate anybody. I don't want to. Well, guess what happens? Guess what happens when we don't want to aggravate anybody? We sit here 30 years later and we have a Commonwealth that doesn't want to stand up for the values that we stand up for. Well, I am sick and tired of these liberal elitists telling us what we have to do day in and day out. And that's what we have to change. They want us to be afraid of what's right. They want to make us afraid to stand up for what we stand up for. And my response to them is, well, times are changing. Times are changing. So that's going to bring me to why I came here tonight, in addition to supporting Bonnie. We want to change America. This guy changed America for the last 7 years. He said, I'm going to be out here on the left, and I don't care what you say or what you do, I'm going to change it. And look what he's done in 7 short years to this great country of ours. Well, we need someone who's going to go down to Washington, who's going to change it back. And that person is Ted Cruz. Go to the first 10 pages of his book, and this is why we need Ted Cruz today. Ted Cruz went into the Republican caucus, which is when all the Republicans sit around and chat, and they all came up with an idea of how to make the Democrats happy with what they wanted to do. They wanted to pass a big spending bill. And Cruz said, wait a second, I'm a Republican. I didn't come in here to be passing big spending bills. And from that day on, guess what? The Republican establishment has hated Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz made a commitment to the people of Texas that he was going to go in and he was going to work for them. We can all agree on these issues, whether it be immigration, Common Core, defending America. Most of the Republicans are in the same place. We would all agree with that. Minor differences here and there. But there is only one. There is only one candidate for President of the United States who has taken on the Democrats and taken on the Republicans, and that man is Ted Cruz. And that's why the Washington cartel hates him. Because Ted Cruz is going to go to Washington, and on day one, he is going to move this country back to what we believe in, what we grew up in, and that's why I urge everyone here to join the Ted Cruz revolution. By the way, Ted Cruz called me in May, and he asked me if we could get 40 or 50 people to my house. And I said, I think we can get 40 to 50 people there. We had 650 people in my backyard, and a waiting list of another 650. There is a built-up demand in this country for leaders. Ted Cruz is the leader. My email address is jlyons@tedcruz.org, jlyons@tedcruz.org. I would urge you to join the Cruz Revolution. Thank you very much.
Okay, so it's time to collect the ballots. So if you haven't filled out your ballot or got it, let's do that. We're going to, I would like to ask my Republican Town Committee chairs to come up here. Here it is.